All right, welcome, kings and queens. Y'all, I found a new show, Queen's Court, and I love it. I love it. When I tell you they have gotten off to a dynamic start, honey, I cannot complain. And even if I did, I don't think anybody cares. So listen, this is a phenomenal reality show, in my opinion. If you put aside how you feel about Tamar, Evelyn, and really get into it from a fair viewpoint, it's a really good production. I am impressed from start to finish. So there's three bachelorettes. We have Tamar Braxton, Evelyn Lozada, and we have Nivea. Nivea was married to The Dream, and she's also had children by both The Dream and Lil Wayne. Evelyn Lozada, we've come to know her by way of Basketball Wives. And then Tamar Braxton. We can just stop there with the name Braxton. Listen, this show, I loved it. I loved it. Well, they have Holly Robinson Pete and her husband Rodney that are hosting this show. I think they did a great job choosing this couple to lead this process. Because they are a solid couple. They have that relationship history that we need from a good host and a good facilitator. They've been solid. They talked about how marriage can be very hard and a lot of work, but yet they still stand. So excellent job with that, finding a very dynamic African-American couple to talk about love and the process of being patient and also moving out of your comfort zone, ladies, when it comes to finding decent men. Okay, let's get into it. We have three beautiful women. They asked them, why are you here? Okay, why are you here? Why now? What brings you to this platform in search of love? And the ladies did a dynamic job of explaining themselves, giving a little bit of background about the highs and the lows of their relationship history. So overall, the women are looking for their number two, their man. You know, two is always stronger than one. And Tamar looked extremely beautiful. This is probably the best I've ever seen Tamar look. And she gave us reason why. She said she's been doing the work. And it reminds me of Iyanla Vanzant. She says you got to do the work. Well, guess what, Tamar? It definitely shows, honey. Love looks good on you. Evelyn looks great. Evelyn has aged a bit, but it looks good on her. Evelyn gave an overview that she's been engaged to a number of times. And she did marry for a very short period of time, 42 days to be exact, to Chad Ochocinco. As she was giving a brief summary of her background, you know, it dawned on me that Iyanla Vanzant tried to warn Evelyn many, many years ago when Evelyn appeared on her show, Iyanla Fix My Life. Iyanla said to Evelyn, if you don't do the work, it's only going to get worse for you. And it did. That's when she had the domestic violence dispute situation with Chad Ochocinco, which she went into grave detail. She gave us a lot there. And people tend to be torn with their support of Chad or their support of Evelyn. But at the end of the day, you know, she gave us a little bit of insight as to what happened in that marriage, what led up to that domestic violence situation, and why the marriage ended. So Rodney asked the ladies, are you ready? And I mean, are you really ready for love? Y'all, let me tell you my thoughts. Before they answered, I paused. Because in that moment, I did not feel like Nivea was ready. What are your thoughts? For those of you that have watched it, I was like, no, Nivea is not ready for this process. And I'll tell you why. But what are your thoughts? Okay. My initial thought before I saw the rest of the show, my initial thought was, I don't think Nivea is ready. I think it's important that she hones in on her healing process and also address her addictive behaviors by way of therapy. So that's the angle I was coming from. I didn't think Evelyn was ready. I didn't in that moment. And here's why. Initially, when the show took off and he asked them that question, in my head, based on my opinion, I feel like Evelyn has had and may still have a false sense of reality, right? And I felt like she hadn't really come to grips of where she is now in real life. And what I mean by that is what she used to have access to. And also, I don't think Evelyn has access to that level of a man anymore just by way of ageism. Not even ageism. She's aged out of that. You know, these players, basketball players, these, ball players, they're going for a younger woman in most cases. So in my head, I'm like, I don't know. This may be a hard transition for Evelyn based on the life that she's become accustomed to. Baseball player, basketball players, football players. In reality, this is not that guy that you're going to have to choose from. So that was my take on Evelyn. And that was also my take on Nivea initially. Pay very close attention to what I'm saying initially. But what were your thoughts? So prior to this show ever coming on, I've always wanted to see Tamar win in love. But Tamar, in my opinion, had a lot of growing up to do. Tamar was entertaining, but immature. Basically, just annoying, to be honest. But I loved to watch her on television, so I wanted to see her in a healthy relationship. I think she's ready now. Tamar seems to be the only one who shared personal information. And Tamar shared with the viewers that she spent extensive time and made a financial commitment to working with a therapist, getting her body right, choosing different foods. And as a result, she's come out on the other side and she wants to live a healthy and a wholesome life. That's important when we think about this process. So they're going to be dating 21 men. The first date was a masquerade ball, and everyone had to wear a mask. The women, the bachelorettes, and the men. So the men walk in, and yes, Lord. But let me tell you how they did the men. They're separating the men in cohorts of 7. So the first group came out, yes, Lord, yes, indeed. Won't he do it? Yes, the vibe was popping, honey, and I'm here for it. But listen, before I go any deep, because I know I just gave y'all some good overview, I'm going to go ahead and toot my own horn. Beep, beep. For those of you who are just tuning in, or if you're new to the channel, welcome to the palace. I am Queen Sheba. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television. But most importantly, I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience. Okay, so I'm going to break it down real quick, but I'm going to separate the women out first. On the initial date, I'm going to separate them out. We're going to cover Tamar first. We're going to go to Nivea, and then we're going to go to Evelyn. All right. So off the jump, listen, when those first 7 walk in, they had those masks on. Off jump, the white boy steps in and claims Tamar, honey. His name is JR, by the way. But let me tell you a little bit about me. I'm not one of those content creators that feel like Black women should not date outside of their races. I'm all about do you, boo. Whatever makes you happy, honey. Whatever makes you feel wholesome and healthy. Yes, Tamar Braxton. Yes, girl. So he made a beeline for Tamar. Y'all, Tamar... Tamar was giddy as hell. She was batting her eyelashes. Honey, that red lipstick was popping. The dress showed a little bit of her booty, but very sophisticated and elegant enough, but not too much. It was all right with me. Listen, Tamar wore the hell out of that dress. So hopefully I painted a vivid picture for you with that one. Let's transition to Nivea. So the interesting thing to me about Nivea is I feel like Nivea initiated the hunt. And what I mean by initiated the hunt, typically you want the man in this scenario to lock in on his prey, ask the questions, get to know the woman, and put in the effort to winning the woman. But I feel like Nivea took on the more dominant role because the goal is to allow the men who are supposed to be hunters to allow him to go after you, Nivea. But child, Nivea said she ain't had time for all of that. She went in for the kill. Okay. Nivea, no. I wanted Nivea to sit back in her softness. I wanted her to embrace her femininity in that moment and not have to work for a man. But I get it. You know, when you date the likes of a Lil Wayne and you know what you're up against. Let me just say that. And you marry the likes of a Dream. She's probably always felt like she's had to prove her self-worth and really work hard to maintain these men's attention. So I felt like that's how she approached this scenario. And I wanted her to back off just a little bit, but let's get into it. Let me continue. So she started off by going in for the kill. And she was more of the initiator with the conversations. She did a lot of work to get to know the men. Nivea, that's their job. And Nivea, in my opinion, was a bit touchy-feely, but I also feel like she surpassed the 2-drink rule on the first date. So it led her to be a little bit more friendly and familiar. And as a result, she was kind of touchy-feely. Okay, nothing too bad, but you got to be careful. Leave something to the imagination. But Lord have mercy. Let me tell y'all this. I could have screamed. Look, Nivea is Nivea is a little freak. Okay. Nivea told those men that she's extremely sexual and she likes to be handcuffed, and she gave them a time that she was handcuffed, and it was kind of, scary, but she went with the flow. And I was like, no, Nivea, TMI, back away. But it is what it is. And I wanted her to not say that, not because I don't want her to be free and liberal and whatever she wants to do that makes her happy, but I don't want her to set herself up to be used or seen as a sex object. That's it. And also, I feel like you want to curtail that conversation if the goal is love, right? So remember at the beginning, I said that I didn't think Nivea was quite ready for this process. But as the show continued, listen, Nivea is cringeworthy, but in a good way. In a good way. She appears to be rough around the edges, but it's innocent, to be honest with you. It's very innocent. Now, Nivea decided that she liked Nathan, okay? So she asked Nathan out on a date. And child, this is what I mean, rough around the edges. Nivea didn't even pull him to the side. Nivea asked him in a group setting and was like, you want to go out? And he was like, and he kind of paused. And that's when I'm like, let them do the hunting. Now, the women had to ask the men out on a date. That was their assignment. But when I say let them do the hunting, let him work for you. You asked him all of the questions, and then you backdoor that with asking him out on a date. So as a result, y'all, he paused in real time. You could see his wheels turning, and that told me a lot. He probably would not have picked you, Nivea. And from my perception, he said yes, but he really wanted to say no. Yeah. He probably had Tamar or Evelyn been there and he had a chance to pick, he would not have picked Nivea. So that's why I don't want her to be too aggressive in this process. So anywho, Nivea's second choice is Michael. She asked him out and he said yes. He didn't even blink. That's the difference between a man that's into you and a man that's not. So as the show goes on, y'all, I take it all back. I like Nivea. As she got warmed up, I warmed up to her, and I was like, I get it now. Nivea is the wild card. Nivea makes excellent television. Nivea is not only entertaining, but Nivea is real. Nivea is real life. And from then on out, I stopped judging and I started to watch and embrace Nivea. Okay? Nivea is like necessary to me, in my opinion, for reality television. She brings a level of realness and authenticity, and I think that's what we need more of in the realms of reality TV. So after Nivea invited Nathan and Michael out, she goes to the sofa and she really starts to vibe with this guy. And I think his name is MC. He's a light-skinned guy. He has a beard. They both discover they have some good, solid commonalities. They both were raised by their grandparents and great-grandparents. And they laugh and they talk. It just seemed like a natural chemistry. They had a natural sexual chemistry too. And in her confessional, she said she liked him a lot. So much so that she went back to Nathan and she was like, look at here, Nathan. I know I asked you out and I think you're nice, but I'm going to rescind my invitation to go on a date with you. And I'm going to ask another man. You know what? Good job, Nivea. Ladies, that's a perfect example that it's okay. It's okay to step back and pivot and change your damn mind. I changed my mind. And I love that. I've never seen a woman do that before. So I love that. She changed her mind in real time. She took her damn date back and she gave it to the man that she really wanted to go out with. All right, let's talk a little bit about Evelyn. So same thing with Evelyn. As Evelyn began to warm up and really let her hair down and get more relaxed in the process, I warmed up to Evelyn. I abandoned what I thought about her from the basketball wives persona. And I said, you know what? Let me just look at her for who she is in the now. And she is a beautiful person. Like if she could show more of that, she really is a beautiful person. And you can tell she wants to be. She just probably got caught up in that lifestyle. So let's talk about Evelyn in this process. Evelyn understands the game, honey. One thing I can say about Evelyn is the girl knows how to date. Okay? She ain't new to this. She's true to this. And the guy, JR, that made a beeline for Tamar, he was able to open up a little bit more while talking to Evelyn. And he revealed some things about himself that Evelyn was like, that's a red flag for me. So he revealed that he's a divorced father of 5. And when I say Evelyn knows how to date, this is what I mean. She said, are you saying that all 5 of your children were with your ex-wife? Y'all, that's a good question. And he had to tell the truth. He said no. And he revealed that he has 5 kids, I believe by 4 different women, if I'm correct. So, Lord have mercy. I thought Tamar done picked up a white Pookie and Ray Ray out here. Immediately, you could tell from the Evelyn's facial expression, even though she had on a mask, you could see the look in her eyes. Child, she was not feeling that. And Evelyn, I'm not mad at you. I most certainly understand why. So in her confessional, she confirms it. She says, that was a red flag for me because that means there's probably baby mama drama. And you know what? You're right, Evelyn, because one of JR's baby mamas have come out on the internet by way of social media stating that she does not view Tamar as a stepmother to her baby. Girl, go on. Tamar Braxton is not worried about you or your child. Tamar Braxton is not trying to weave her way into your family dynamic so that she's positioned as a stepmother to your child. Women, y'all got to stop doing that. Y'all got to stop doing that when you have these kids by these men that you don't marry. And all you can do is talk negativity on the next woman that he decides to be more serious about and or marry. We not thinking about your kids like you think we are. I promise you that. I'm sorry, we're not. But let me move on. Plus, let me give you my personal take. I don't see how any woman would date a man with multiple children. That's a lot of kids. 4, 5, 6, 7 kids. Get somebody else to do it. Because the way I look at it, I'm like, that impacts the flow of money that comes into the home. And when you count those kids, I'm counting in my head what's leaving the home opposed to what should be remaining in the home had he done this the right way. That means marry before you carry, right? Creating all these single parent households. So I've never been a fan of dating men with multiple children like that. You mean to tell me of all these women, none of them was a good catch? Go play in somebody else's face. I'm not believing that. It is what it is. So let's move on. Evelyn is definitely outside of her comfort zone because the women's assignment was to ask the men out. And she said she shared she's never had to ask a man out. So she hones in on a guy named Puff. She asks him out. He graciously accepts her offer. And then she talks to a couple of other guys. One of the guys had some really good questions that he was asking Evelyn. His name is Michael. He's the guy that Nivea also asked out. Because of his interest in her, she says, listen, why don't you save that question? I would like to ask you out, and then we can pick up where we left off. Let me tell you about a class act. That man could have said yeah, because it is a dating show. And guess what? The ladies would have had to duke it out and or understand. But what he did was a class act. He said, I would love to go, but the timing is not right. I need to honor my date with Nivea. Y'all, I like that. And Evelyn, she was cool. She wasn't doing too bad because she was able to select a different guy. His name is Nathan as her second choice. Remember, Nathan is also the guy that Nivea rescinded the date from. So, what does that tell me? Evelyn and Nivea have the same taste in men, or very similar taste in men. That's interesting. Okay. So that's where we leave off with Evelyn. So at a point in the show, they call a timeout. They gather everyone together and they ask everyone to take their mask off. The men take their mask off immediately. And then the women are asked to take their mask off. From what she sees, Evelyn likes Puff. You can tell from the facial response. Mac likes what he sees with Nivea. JR seems to be enthralled with Tamar. Very, very good. So let's focus on Tamar. JR shares with Tamar. JR is the white guy, the white bachelor. He shares with Tamar that in his past, in his 20s, he picked up 2 felonies. Whatever crime he committed got him 2 felonies. But he cleaned up his life and he joined the Marines. Now, let me ask y'all something. Would this be a deal breaker in addition to him having 5 kids? What are your thoughts? Would this be a deal breaker for you? Damn, y'all. I wanted it to be a deal breaker so bad while I was watching the show. But this man has the gift of gab, like Tamar says, and he continually won me over. And I'm like, this man, he knows how to talk. No wonder why he got 5 kids. He's a great communicator, excellent communicator. So, I don't know if I'm a sucker or if I'm a sucker for love, but his vulnerability was very refreshing. He shared that he lost his mother. He shared about his past, his not so good past. He shared why he has 5 kids. And the things that he shared, most people would not be so open to share on national television and also on the first date. But it seems as if he's grounded in the reason that he is there. And the goal is love. And if the goal is love, would you or would you not want to know everything you need to know up front about a person in order to make an educated decision on who would be the best fit for you? What are your thoughts? And I just kind of feel like he's putting it all out there to let her choose. And I don't know if he's learned this by way of past experiences or if this is truly who he is. So naturally, Tamar chose him for her first date. So there's another guy. Lord have mercy. I guess you got to throw one in every now and then. And this was an old fool, in my opinion. So there's a guy whose name is Tony. He's 54 and he shoots his shot. Like he goes in and he's flirting. You could tell he wants Tamar to choose him. Lord have mercy. What in the world was going on here? I hollered, y'all. I literally laughed so hard. First off, he could not articulate what he did for a living. When Tamar asked him, so what do you do? He described his profession as a cigar influencer. Sir, what is that? Basically, he says he's the reason that people smoke cigars. I was like, what in the unemployment is going on here? You just sound like you really haven't done much with your life at age 54, but he may be a charmer. And he's managed to learn how to charm women. And as a result, that's probably how he made his way on this show. So this man goes on to say that he's never been in love before. Lord have mercy. But on the other hand, he states that he's probably the best pick in a relationship. And if you don't believe him, then you can ask his mama and she can vouch for him. Pause on that. Yeah. Make it make sense. Lord have mercy. This is the perfect example of men that think that they are the prize, ladies. And you should be happy to have him because his mama said so. All right? You don't believe me? Watch the show yourself. Then he says that the first 2 times he was married, he did not show up for the wedding. Y'all, I am not lying. I am not kidding you. This grown-ass man, 54-year-old on a dating show, number one, has never been in love, but he says that his mama says that he's the right man. He's the right pick for any relationship. And then you share that you've been married 2 times but failed to show up for both weddings. And one of the weddings, you told the lady that you couldn't come to the altar. You couldn't meet her because you had to work. Ladies, see, some of y'all need to chill, ladies, because y'all are accepting any and everything. And I don't know who that lady was that proceeded to marry this man, but sweetheart, he said he never loved either one of y'all. And that's why you need to stop accepting the bare minimum when it comes to having a man. Okay? Stop doing that, ladies, because this was pathetic. This was embarrassing. And he said he never loved either one of his wives. Yep. There's a guy named Gatsby on the show. I was not feeling him, and probably because I have a bias and I have some tea on him. But I'm going to hold it. Plus, I felt like Gatsby talks too much. To me, that's indicative of you being extremely self-centered, that you probably are very important to yourself. So I just wasn't feeling Gatsby, okay? I don't really see Gatsby as making a match with anyone on the show, and if so, I'm going to be very shocked. I can see him as being a really good friend, nothing else. Post-date night, big group date, Holly Robinson Pete comes to the house to have a roundtable discussion with the ladies, and I'm really liking the open dialogue. The women the women were able to honestly, in my opinion, honestly open up about where they used to be and how they got to where they are. Evelyn, this is where Evelyn went into more detail about her marriage with Chad Ochocinco. Tamar talked about Vince, and Nivea talked about Lil Wayne and The Dream. So the women are gearing up for their date to go out on their individual dates. And Nivea goes out on her date with the two M's, Michael and Mac, and she looks adorable. I just like the way that she showed up as herself. Listen, production knew what they were doing with this one. They gave Nivea a very sensual and sexy date theme. And listen, the girl played it down to a T. Nivea was moaning and groaning while she was eating those cherries, and the men were feeding her, and baby, she responded appropriately. You hear me? So as this was going on, my mind wandered yet again, and I said, man, Nivea would make a great castmate on that new show that's coming out about seeking another husband. She will make an excellent wife with two husbands. I'm for real, no tea, no shade. She just seems to know how to manage herself, right? And her sexual energy when it comes to men. Nivea takes Mac on a one-on-one, kind of pull him aside. They seem to have very good chemistry. And I think that's probably the kind of guy that she needs in real life, pending we don't find out any dirt about him as the season progresses, okay? Then she and Michael talks. Michael seems a bit more grounded. And then, y'all, he told her the reason why his last relationship ended is because he cheated on his ex. I was like, damn, Michael. So Tamar goes out on her date and her two men show up. Tamar's dates, they had to make cakes for her. JR made a really nice looking cake. Okay. Listen, JR made Gatsby look like a fool when he walked in. And he came in, y'all. Listen, there's an old Southern saying, don't go to people's homes empty-handed. And also back in the day, men would understand that when it's your first date with a woman that you really like, bring her flowers, right? JR walked in with roses, made Gatsby look like a fool. And I know Gatsby had to feel that. Okay? Because I saw you looking. Everybody paused. Tamar paused. Gatsby was kind of looking like awkwardly, like, damn, I got caught slipping. But here's what's interesting to me. In his confessional, Gatsby equated the giving of roses as buying love. He said something along the lines, I don't have to try to buy love from a woman, sir. Excuse me, Mr. Filmmaker. We like roses. Women love flowers. It's the thought that counts. But baby, JR is running circles around Gatsby. Because when it came time to open the champagne, Gatsby ran like a little girl and hid by the walls, scared that the cork would hit him. And JR just finessed that moment, opened that bottle of champagne, poured Tamar a glass of champagne. Listen, I love it. I love the fact that the women are in charge and they get to pick. I love the fact that the women are being wined and dined and calling the shots. And they get to choose from multiple men. JR is bringing it, y'all. He's earning that woman. And I don't know. They have like this undeniable chemistry. The timer goes off. The men presents their cakes. JR wins, of course. And then Tamar, she digs for a little bit more of information regarding JR's past. And she wants to know more about, tell me how you got all these kids by multiple baby mamas. And he told her. And he said it's so smooth. This man is so smooth. He said, he was an only child and he lost his mother to cancer. And he's always wanted to create a large family and a legacy. That was pretty tender. I don't know about the hummingbird. I think you kind of went too far with the little hummingbird. You really poured on the sugar with that, but I don't know. We'll see. What are your thoughts? Tamar shared that she's a bit concerned that Gatsby is a handful. Pretty much she just said he's draining. He seems to be a stable person, but that's a lot to deal with. That it's just a bit too much work in her opinion. And you know why I know Tamar has done the work? Because she said, Gatsby reminds me of myself. I used to be the clown in the room, and I thought it was normal until I went to therapy and started working on myself. So that's kind of her concern with Gatsby. Nivea likes both of her guys. Holly Robinson says, okay, we got to put a spin on the next date. I want you ladies to have a dinner date, but you have to invite the men that you would never pick, the men that you feel like don't stand a chance with any of you, okay? And I like that. And I was laughing my ass off because the men that they chose, they walked in all cocky. And when Holly Robinson Pete announced to them, the reason you're here is because the women feel like none of you stand a chance with them. Nathan had a real strong reaction to that. Oh, yeah. You thought you was getting chose. He had a really strong reaction to that. And I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Gatsby was a bit shocked because I think he felt like he was the golden child, the chosen one. And he fell flat on his face when he realized that the purpose of this date is because the women was not feeling him neither. Okay, so the girls come down, y'all, honey, from upstairs, and they are serving hither. They looked good. They start off in the kitchen with a couple of cocktails. Roshan and Evelyn go outside. Roshan is the one with the wild hair. He kind of looks like a caveman. But there's this thing to him where he seems to be a bit stronger than what he's letting off. I'd like to see him cleaned up a bit and clean shaven just to see what he can really look like. So he and Evelyn are able to talk. They're having a good time. Everybody's mixing and mingling, and then things pop off. Nathan completely popped off, in my opinion, for no reason at all. Roshan made a small joke. It wasn't offensive. He just basically said, yeah, me and Nathan are buddies, but oh well, I'm going to have to let him down easy when I win. And he doesn't get chosen. And Nathan, y'all, he just completely went off. It was very distasteful. He started attacking the man's physical appearance. He attacked his wardrobe, his suit. And I'm glad he did that because you never know what's brewing beneath these men. And to me, that was a boy move and not a grown man move. And it was very concerning, not only to the other men, but to the ladies as well. And then Evelyn just said that it reminded her of her past because that's something that she don't ever want to get involved with. A man who has a temperament like that can pop off and just fly off the handle because somebody says something he doesn't like. The men come, they sit him down at the table and they break the news to them. And the only thing on my mind was, are y'all going to eat this food? Because as they're breaking the news to the men and the men are walking away from the table and being dismissed, I'm like, are we really going to waste all of this food? So that's all I have. They decided to keep Roshan and to keep Gatsby. It's a really good show. It's really beautiful to see the vulnerability of the men and also the vulnerability of the women. Tamar has really grown. When she gave her feedback to Gatsby, I almost cried because she was very sensitive. She understood the sensitivity of breaking a man's heart and kind of giving him that raw feedback. And that can be very uncomfortable to hear things about yourself that you don't like or don't want to hear in front of a national television audience. And it was real. You could tell it was a real moment because Gatsby, he put that church finger up and he asked production, hold on, wait a minute. Can I drink a sip of water? That's how real the moment was. And he literally had to drink a sip of water just to be able to calm his nerves. So it almost brought me to tears because I understand the rawness of it. You know, it's tough for all of them. They decided to send Nathan home in the end, and I'm impressed with the lady's decision. And here's why. Because you cannot correct anger. You cannot love an angry man and hope that he confirms and he understands that love conquers all. It's not our job, ladies, to save him. And the ladies chose to not save him.